steady as she goes, dude, and crank up those tunes.
It comes in denim. It comes in denim. It comes in denim.
Good morning, and welcome to the show and a midweek podcast. And I actually have a good amount of stuff to cover today. I'm excited. You know, we've been doing a lot of morning shows recently because there hasn't been tons of stuff to do on a full podcast. But today I feel like we have enough, particularly with this testing of the Steam controller today, which will be a fun live experiment. I think that we have more than enough to do. Although I must admit, it's pretty rainy. It's pretty wet and messy outside, which is, I guess, okay, because yesterday we had 80-plus degree weather, which warmed everything up. But it's spring. And I guess you could say April showers, but it's May. I wanted the weather to solidify, and it hasn't here. It's been, like, all over the place. So it is what it is, but, yeah, it's kind of a very rainy spring day here in Washington State. So, are you excited? We're going to chill. We're going to talk about yesterday's stuff first. We'll get that out of the way. Because, honestly, I really don't know how to react to the Directive 8020 response I got yesterday. It certainly wasn't what I was expecting, right? And to put it into perspective, the Dark Pictures anthology games or any of these narrative-based games from Supermassive Games typically perform pretty decently on this channel. Now, listen, I understand that times have changed. It's 2026. It's not, 2015. So I get it. It's not going to be a universal truth that these kind of games would perform well. But I was downright shocked with how this game was responded to by the audience. Like, I have two completely different kinds of chat. One insanely rowdy, right, and full of energy and spunk. And the other way more kind of cool and collected, right? Both chats reacted, sadly, negatively to this game. And I never expected that because particularly it's the kind of game that I actually really enjoy. Like, no exaggeration, after yesterday's premiere stream, I would love to play the game again. I can't wait to play it again to see how the story goes. So we're going to talk about this today because it's just so weird. It seems like in the modern day, up is down, left is right. The good news is overall things are going great, but it is weird when you have something that previously has always done well with a certain crowd, and now it doesn't seem to be doing so anymore. All right. I also want to give you guys a update on what's going on with the React over on DSP Reacts because we're almost done with it. But I'm getting requests now after the success of this React because people have been saying that they really like it. Would I do more? I'm like, well, I don't know. And of course, I absolutely want to test out my Steam controller. It's finally here after all that wait, and it has some interesting features that I want to show you for navigation. Like, to get around your PC, essentially what this is even though you have two thumbsticks you absolutely can use, you can use the touchpads as if you had a keyboard and mouse, and it's kind of cool how you can kind of navigate around. Now, it's not necessarily, it might not be the best, but it's a cool thing. If you don't want to use keyboard and mouse but still use a PC, it might be a cool way to do so. So we're going to look at that today, okay? And yeah, it is a beast. I know, it's a beast of a controller. You see how big it is? That's probably the biggest chunkiest controller I've ever used. So, good stuff. If you want to do React content, a new segment called Detracting the Detractors to respond to unhinged detractor videos and make fun of them. Well, first off, I want to say thank you for the suggestion, and I also want to say never say never. Let's put it that way. However, if there is one thing that I have learned over these years that I've been a creator, 18 years, and out of those 18 years, arguably 15 years, I've had these major detractors who are coming after me, okay? The best way to handle that level of obsession, harassment, misinformation, and defamation is very simple. You don't address it. Because all that those people want is your attention. If they get it, they feel like they've won. That was the whole point. Most people who are detractors on the internet, and I don't just mean my detractors, I mean anyone who who detracts someone on the internet probably well knows that most of the stuff that they say and do regarding someone is exaggerated. Not that it's not truthful, but usually it's a gross exaggeration. Okay? Yeah, sure. This person probably did this one thing, but it also doesn't mean that they're a horrible person, they're a waste of life, this and this and this, right? And people will take one little thing and extrapolate upon it and blow it up. So here's the thing. If you take everything that's said and you watch it and you react to it and you respond to it, you basically become like Review Tech USA, someone who just can't help themselves and literally falls down that rabbit hole again and 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 again. And it's an endless cycle. And all it does is fuel the fire so that those people will keep doing it. Okay? And so, the best way to handle it is to just say, well, I'm aware it exists, but I don't know the specifics. I don't care. And just move on with your day. Because it's like I've said, if you're successful, you don't need to focus on these things that are said about you because they don't matter. You know, in the last year, there has been a ridiculous amount of ire and negative things said about me on the internet. And how much have they affected me? Zero. They have had zero negative impact on me because I don't pay any attention to it. I don't care. Instead, I'm just here chilling with my audience every day, having a good time, living life, making positive content. And guess what? I'm doing good. My streams are doing well overall. Not every single stream, but overall, I'm doing well. Everything's good. The sky ain't falling. The bills are getting paid. I'm making good content that I love. We're branching out. We're doing new games. The set's upgraded. The equipment's upgraded. Look, I got my Steam controller right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're good. So, that's it. That's all I have to worry about. Now, I understand what you're saying. For me to react, to detract the detractors, correct? For me to do that, would that be funny? I think it might be for like a one-off thing. But the thing is, once you do that, you've given them what they want. They now have their time in the sun, and they can now say, haha, now the endless cycle continues because now he's acknowledged us and he's watching our content. So now we can clip that and watch his reaction and react to his reaction and spin it in our toxic way. And it's just an endless content funnel. Does that make sense? To be honest, that's how it works on the internet for the drama farming YouTubers and the drama farming streamers. It's not just on YouTube, you know, other places as well, as you know. They want that endless cycle. They want you to bite. They want you to react. They want you to respond because then that just gives them more free content that they don't really have to work hard for. It just gives them the free content, right? And it gives them the attention. By not acknowledging it and not paying attention to it and just being yourself and moving on your merry way, it makes them basically talk to the void or their very isolated group of losers who watch them. It's just that simple. You know, you can't help the fact that there is a human problem, that there are people who are so miserable in life that all they want to do is laugh about the misfortunes of others or try to bring others down, even if it's not true, the things that are being said. They don't care. They just want to feel like they're better or superior to other people, or at least revel in the downfall of someone who looked like they were doing well. That's how miserable human existence has become. And there's nothing you could do about that, right? There's no actions that I could do to change that. I can acknowledge it, I can point a finger at it, and I can highlight it, but it doesn't mean that it's ever going to improve. Instead, what I can do is focus on the things that I can control and I can change, which is me and myself and my content. Okay, I can't change the world, but I can control what's right here on this stream. And that's the attitude that I take. So why am I going to go watch other people's content, okay, of toxic stuff? Why would I ever do that? What's the point? It's not like I'm going to convince those people that they're wrong. It's not like I'm going to entertain a positive audience by reacting to toxic, negative content about myself. All right? 2 years ago, a 4-hour documentary came out about me by June the King. I literally forced myself to sit here, watch it, react to every moment of it, and fess up to all the things that I had done wrong over the years. And when I finished that react, that was my redemption, at least for myself, meaning I kind of pledged to myself that all those things that I had done wrong up to that point, that I wasn't going to replicate, that I wasn't going to continue to make those same mistakes, but instead I was going to turn my life around and improve it. Now look at me 2 years later, right? I'm a transformed guy. I'm healthier. I'm happier. I'm sitting in a place of affluence, a place of success. I actually have a great life. Everything has dramatically improved for me since I manned up and I reacted to that toxic stuff about me. I don't care what anyone else says after that because I'm already done with it and I'm already past it. Every little nitpick, every little gripe that the internet has with me doesn't matter. It doesn't affect me. I'm good. So I'm moving forward in a positive way and I don't care what these idiots say. Someone tipped $2. I'm trying to understand what they're saying. I'm going to try to read this. They said, is what happened with the quartering pretty much when you met, whenever you bring up why you don't go after the tractor channels? It seems to cause more problems than it solves. You've grown up a lot. 2013 DSP would address the tractors a lot. Pretty much it ended up promoting this is how you don't play. Yes. So it's like they say, first of all, it's the Streisand effect, right? If you don't want something to be talked about or highlighted or focused on, don't talk about it, mention it, highlight, or focus on it. If you try to hide it and you're purposefully trying to stop people from talking about it, it gets highlighted, it gets emphasized and extrapolated. I think the story is that Barbra Streisand in 2003 had a property she owned, but she didn't want anyone to really know about it. But some photographer had taken a picture of it and put it online. And so she basically sued the guy to try to take the pictures down. But then because of that, the pictures went everywhere viral and everyone knew she owned this property. I think that's the story. I'll tell you this, okay? Wholeheartedly. This is truthful. I don't watch any of these documentaries on me. I don't watch any specials. I don't watch anyone doing we're going to talk shit about DSP today. Not once. Okay? Seriously, I don't care. I don't pay attention to any of it. How do I know about it? You come and tell me about it in the chat. That's the only way that I would ever know about any of that stuff. It's not worth my time. It's literally a waste of everyone's time for me to sit here and address the crap. So there you go. Or maybe they're using this stream as kind of a background stream because it's not really gameplay heavy. I don't know what's going on. But it was weird because, again, engagement is very, very critical to the success of a playthrough. I need people to be paying attention and caring about what I'm doing on stream, or else why am I streaming it, right? And I noticed that basically the engagement was very low on the YouTube side, okay? On the Kick side, the engagement was very high, but it was for bad reasons. But basically on the Kick side, everyone decided, we don't like narrative-based games anymore, so we're just going to keep doing the thumbs down Patrick from SpongeBob emo. Now, here's the thing. I get it. It's funny. It's a meme. Let's all meme together, right? You want to do that for a little bit? Fine. But I'm not exaggerating when I tell you I ignored it, and they did it for over an hour straight. And it was almost every single person in the Kick chat was doing it. It got to the point where there were actually a few people who legit wanted to talk about the game, and their chats were flooded off the screen, and they couldn't contribute because these people were flooding the chat with spam. That's just not allowed. Sorry, it's my place of business, not yours. It's my, place of work where I want people to be able to have intelligent discussion about what I'm actually streaming. You can't just spam like that nonstop. Now, I was very lenient. I let this go on for over an hour and basically didn't say anything about it, okay? Over an hour, I said, all right, now I have to do something about it. And I said, guys, please stop. If you continue to do it, I'm going to time you out. People kept doing it. So I ended up timing out something like 20 accounts, okay? I am happy to say that after I timed out 20 accounts, they basically stopped doing it, except for maybe 5. And the 5 people who kept doing it, I didn't recognize. It wasn't like these were regulars. They were just assholes. So I then banned them because they basically double whammy. You got to learn your lesson. And after that, it stopped. But it was disheartening to see on the one side, the people who usually engage in a positive way and have a good time were literally quiet, dead quiet. On the other side, the people who are rowdy and will, be excited were basically just sitting there and complaining. Oh, we don't like this game. Let's spam emotes. So on both sides, basically, there wasn't satisfactory engagement. People just seemed to be upset overall about the game. And I'm like, wow, this is such a weird disconnect because I'm having a good time. Okay. But the chat is not. And that's weird. So where's the disconnect? Because people knew what kind of game this was. I've played many Supermassive games before. You've seen the formula for these games. You know, it's survival horror with choices and a little bit of, sneaking and other content. You know what I'm saying? So what can I say? Now, the other thing is, the whole idea behind a game like this is that you play the game, right? And as you're playing it, you make choices. And if you fail, you're like, okay, remember the choices you made because you could do a second run where you can fix them later. Well, if no one likes the first run, obviously I'm not going to do a second. What's the point? But that sucks because that's kind of the fun of this kind of game is being able to go back and see how different choices lead to different outcomes and who lives and who dies. But if everyone's tired and bored with this game, then I can't do that. So it kind of was this like double disappointment because the live audience wasn't liking it. And at the same time, this is going to take away from my overall enjoyment because I know I'm not going to get to try to do alternate choices later because no one cares about this game. We got to talk about support because it is an important part of the equation. Just on the DSP morning show, okay, I had accumulated something like 30 plus bucks of support. And we started the game, and I'm not kidding, from the morning show to the end of the stream, which was, about 3+ hours of gameplay. The end of the stream, I was at $67 of support. So it makes me scratch my head, what the heck just went wrong? But to be honest, I don't actually think something went wrong. I just think that the times are changing, Back in the day, when I played Telltale narrative games, I wasn't an interactive streamer. So if I just focused on the game and was constantly commentating on what was going on in the game with irreverent commentary and jokes, people found it hilarious. Well, I don't do that constantly anymore. I just kind of play the game and react naturally to it, and I talk with the audience, right? So because of that, it doesn't have that appeal like it used to, all right? Even until Dawn 2015, I live streamed it, I had face cam, but it was really just me in the game, all right? As I've become more and more of an interactive streamer, those days of me focusing on the game entirely and being immersed in the plot and stuff like that have kind of gone away. But it was the engagement that was incredibly low and the support that was low, and that's what kind of, threw me for a loop. Again, back in the day, can we be honest? Back in the day, everything was different, okay? Back in the day, all kinds of commentary was allowed. No one was offended. The world has changed. All of these platforms no longer allow that style of completely irreverent commentary, okay? Along with that, I've grown up a lot. I started being a YouTuber, I believe I was like 26 or 27 years old. I'm 44 now. You understand? Like, I'm almost 20 years into this game. And a lot changes in 20 years, okay? I'm not the same guy I used to be. My mind isn't even wired like that anymore. I don't think that way. I don't talk that way. I don't act that way. So although you might like DSP from 15 plus years ago, that was 15 years ago. And everything changes in that amount of time, to be quite honest with you. If I were the same guy today that I were 15 years ago, I would have failed. I'm going to say that again as strongly as I can. If I were the same guy today in 2026 that I were back in like 2012, 2013, I would have failed. All right? I wouldn't have an audience. That I would have become ultimately an completely so I gotta adapt. And that's exactly what I've done. All right, I've changed for the better. And I have no desire to go back. Like I said, I've grown as a person. I don't think that way anymore. It was exhausting trying to fill every moment of dead air with this kind of commentary that was just so immature and stupid in my opinion. I get that people liked it. I do. But that's a younger audience that I don't really care about anymore. That's not who I'm trying to make content for. All right? Just being honest. So, there you go. Yeah, I'm not going to go back to that. It's never going to work. It wouldn't. If all of a sudden I just started acting like old DSP again, it would last 2 days. The first day, everyone would be like, whoa, Phil's acting like his old self. And then the second day, people would be like, oh, he's acting like his old self. That's pathetic. Let's all make fun of him. And that would be the end. I'd be completely irrelevant and be out of business in 2 days. I'm not even kidding. By day 3, I would have no one watching me. Like, no lie. I feel so good. You know, I work out and I go to sleep tired. I wake up in the morning. I'm like, ooh, I got pump. I feel good. I'm healthy. I feel like I'm 20 again. This is amazing. I jump out of bed. I go, I have my nice breakfast. I jump on stream. I'm excited for the day. I'm like, let's go. Let's enjoy. Let's chill. Let's do good content together today. And we play games and we chill and we have fun. We get in a minute we're going to check out the Steam controller, right? We're going to experiment with it. This is fun stuff. This is good stuff. And it's not harmful. It's meaningful stuff. I love it. And that's my future. Because I ditched all the toxic shit of the past. I shed it off. And I've moved forward as a positive, different person. Changed. But they can't accept it. They totally can't. Here we go. See, you always notice that once we start talking about reality, they always show up in chat to spam it and say toxic stuff. Because that's their coping and seething mechanism. They can't handle reality. Wait, no, he's talking about his good life again. Shit, we can't have that because now my fractured reality starts to crack, right? And oh no, now I have to look in the mirror and look at my ugly self again and who I've become, hating a guy on the internet. They can't take that shit. They can't. Initially, just using the controller as a standard controller, it does feel comfortable in the hands, albeit it's a little chunky. It is, let's be honest here. It's a chunky boy. Most controllers these days don't have this sucker here, so it's more ergonomic. It is still kind of ergonomic. All right, I'm not going to say, oh, it's uncomfortable. It's a little bit heavier than some of the controllers out there. Like, this controller actually is heavier than both this controller that I'm currently using for the Switch 2, and also, it's heavier than the Razer Wolverine controller for PC, okay? But, I mean, it's got, you know, this rumble in it. It's got the gyroscope in it. It's got touchpads. It's got a lot of technology in it. I'm not shocked that it's a little bit heavier than other controllers. The grip, it is a textured grip, which you couldn't tell when they were advertising it. It looked like it was that smooth matte finish. It's not. It actually has a micro texture. Now, it's probably impossible to show this to you on camera. All right? When you look at that, you'll probably think, oh, that's smooth. It actually isn't smooth, okay? But there's no way to really show this on camera. This is all textured. It has there's a very small dots, but it does have a grip feel to it. And actually, the front is contoured. As you can see, there's like this contour right here and right here. So as you hold it, it feels natural in your hand. So I do like how it's feeling so far. Now, I haven't really played it in a game yet besides Directive 8020. We'll know tonight when I play Mouse PI for Hire. And then later this week, I'm actually going to try it with retro fighting games. Then I'm really going to be able to tell you how it's controlling in games. But for the feel, just the way it feels in your hand, it does feel comfortable. Okay? The buttons. This may be one of the things that is a negative. The buttons on the face are very close together. And that's the closest configuration I've seen in any modern controller. I've only seen buttons that close together with like mini versions of controllers that they sell. And this isn't supposed to be a mini controller, yet the buttons are crushed in there. It could prove to have some issues when you're playing certain games and you need to do fast reactions. You may kind of, you know, thumb it and hit multiple buttons by accident because the buttons are so small and close together. Particularly, I have fat thumbs. So look at this. My thumb completely covers all 4 buttons. That could be a problem, okay? The D-pad. I'm curious how this D-pad is going to perform because as you can see, it is that smooth style D-pad. And I've played those before and sometimes they're good and sometimes not so good. So again, when I try playing fighting games later this week, I'll be able to tell you how the D-pad really functions, if it's good enough for stuff like that or not. I will tell you my one major criticism so far, the triggers are the same smooth style as the face buttons, and I don't like that. Like the other controllers that I'm using, okay, they all have a texture to the trigger. See this? It actually has a little bit of a texture to it. It's not shiny, but it's kind of like textured on there. Same thing here with the Razer Wolverine, all of the triggers these days have this texture to them when you're using them. For some reason, they didn't opt for that with the Steam controller, but instead it's really shiny and smooth, so your finger tends to slide around the trigger. I do wish that they put some kind of a texture on there to kind of hold it in place, because the rest of the controller is textured. So why, if you textured everything else on your controller, didn't you texture the triggers where your fingers are going to be resting all the time? I don't know. I actually do feel like this is kind of an oversight. Okay? So, yeah, I'm not sure why they did that, okay? Just being honest.
I need banana, tasty banana.